Welcome to the Wrestle Pod, the podcast for wrestling fans everywhere. Your hosts, as always, are me, FogJones, at TheFogJones on X/Twitter, and my broadcast partner, the Mask J, at FeedYourMask. We're going to be doing this every week. We're going to be discussing the latest wrestling news, rumors, and reviews, and we're going to have interviews such as today. We're going to have some with wrestlers, promoters, and other industry leaders. So this is for anyone who's a casual fan, hardcore fan. And anyway, the WrestlePod is the podcast for you. What I'm excited about today is going to be a great topic to talk about, and actually a lot of topics, is going to be chatting with Tim here. Tim is the leader of the Yeah movement. I'm sure you follow him if you're an LA Knight fan. You have to.
Yeah.
His handle is His handle is at Yeah Movement with an underscore. You got to make sure you get that underscore. But again, you're already following him, and if not, make sure you go ahead and do that. Tim, what's up, man? What's going on?
What is going
Talk
on?
to me.
Look, I'm thrilled to be here. I'm very excited to talk a little LA Knight, a little Yeah movement,
Yeah.
a little maybe dive into the IWC Internet Wrestling community.
Yeah.
Let's do it, man. Let's have some fun.
Cool.
Those guys.
Yeah. The IWC is it's a great place to be. It's a great place to be. Let's do this though, Tim. So last week was the first episode. This is the second. And first of all, thank you for being here. I mean, you were the first person I personally thought of, and I know Jason was kind of like, oh, absolutely. But yeah, so we appreciate you being here. And why don't we kick this off with just a little bit about you, a little introduction to yourself, whatever you want to share with the world.
Sure. Well, I'm a lifelong wrestling fan. I started watching wrestling back in the late '80s. My first memory was the Mega Powers exploding on Saturday night's main event. Watched it all through the early '90s. Stopped maybe like a year or two. I kind of got out of it. Then I was back into it in '95, all the way through the end of the Monday Night War. I was really, I guess you could call me one of the original internet wrestling insiders. I was on America Online with the newsletter. Remember America Online back in the day?
Oh,
yeah.
I don't want
to remember those. Yeah. I was I was in high school, and I started up a wrestling newsletter and on America Online. Did that for a little while. I did a 1-800 hotline, which, if you remember, those were really popular back in the day. We did that, and eventually I caught on with a really nice woman at WCW Magazine. The executive editor of WCW Magazine became friends, and she gave me a position with WCW Magazine. I worked for them for a couple of years. Cool. Met a lot of really great people in the wrestling industry. And it was just, I was a senior in high school when this was all happening. It was the absolute time of my life. I had a ball. I loved wrestling, everything. Live, breathe wrestling for that entire period.
That was a beautiful time too. Yeah, that was, and that's something that we talked about last week. The Monday Night Wars was kind of the catalyst for me as well to being a wrestling fan, as well as I believe the Mask J up there. But you also mentioned earlier, before we hit the record button, you were getting some stuff sent to you, and I believe you also have a background in broadcast too. So can you share a little bit more? They were sending you some stuff. WCW was, and what was that for? Was that for the magazine or?
Yeah, every once in a while. Now I wasn't working for WCW. I was working for WCW Magazine, which was I believe I don't know if you're familiar with the name Finn Martin. I think he's still around. I think he does Inside the Ropes now.
Okay.
But he did. So he was the publisher of WCW Magazine.
Okay.
He was the publisher of Power Slam Magazine, which is a really popular one, or was a really popular magazine over there in the United Kingdom. I did some work for that as well. We're talking about the WCW stuff. Oh, they sent me all kinds of just random things. I was telling you, they sent me one of those luchador masks, but it was a gold and purple WCW luchador mask.
Did you say mask?
They sent me all kinds of just random stuff. Autographed pictures. I remember Diamond Dallas Page. I got one of DDP and all these different little things that I would get. But look, I mean, here I am. I'm a kid in high school. I'm getting all this stuff. I'm, getting these comp tickets to WCW pay-per-views and nitros, and getting to meet some of the guys, and it was unbelievable. But as time goes on, I got older. And the product started to stale a little bit
Hmm.
after the Monday Night War and the invasion. And I kind of just got out of wrestling for quite a while. I really didn't. It was probably a good 15 years where I really didn't watch the product at all.
Fair.
Uh, yeah,
Same with me. Same with me.
yeah, I just didn't. There was nothing there for me anymore. I kind of moved
Yeah.
on from other things, and um, I think when I came back, I did. I think that was around the time that Goldberg came back in like
Yeah.
2016, 2017. I heard he was. So I started kind of watching casually.
Okay.
And that kind of went on for, the next 5 or 6 years, just very casually watching and not really impressed with what I was seeing. It was actually the product was really bad there for quite a while.
It was, yeah, it
That's what
was
I
pretty
hear.
damn stale.
That's what
It
I
was
hear.
awful. It was
It,
embarrassing, quite
it, it
frankly.
was not that good. Like, even as someone that watched it during that entire time, it was just kind of like, I don't know, they weren't even trying.
No, no. And, that was one of the good things I love seeing that, AEW started up is because I
Right.
felt like WWE sort of needed a kick in the ass.
Yeah.
And I think, look,
Oh
we can
man,
talk
it
about,
definitely did.
yeah, we can talk about what's going on with AEW now and stuff. But look, I think that they were some competition for him finally, some
Yeah.
realistic competition at the
Yeah.
beginning. And so I think that it kind of kicked them in the ass a little bit. But no, look, I think the product's been great over the last year or so with Triple H in charge of creative.
Yeah.
And of course, the main catalyst for me to really get back into wrestling was LA Knight. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, so let's touch on
Yeah.
that, right? So same thing happened to me. I was stopped watching, WWE buys WCW and they have a really interesting bunch of documentaries actually, and they talk about how the contracts, some of those contracts were just not the way that they envisioned it. They weren't getting
Right.
Hogan and Goldberg and Sting. They were getting like I'm not, Stasiaks and stuff like, like just
It was
the
awful.
names, you know what I mean? Just kind of the people that weren't even really ready to be focused on the WCW main roster. And so, sometime after that, and then they went into that ruthless aggression era, and you could tell, like even during that moment, they didn't even. It was like, what are we doing, and how do we even continue
Yeah.
this? And let's throw some stuff out there, and let's put some of it on TV, see what happens. And so, yeah, I lapsed to. I didn't come back in 2016, but I always kind of kept my eyes out there, and I remember seeing some of the names of the wrestlers, and I just thought. This is really weird. Like everyone had two first names, and it just kind of seemed really like they were going in this silly direction. And then I noticed Brock was appearing more and more. And I saw some of these other names out there pre-pandemic. Came back, started watching. I really enjoyed Drew McIntyre, as I mentioned earlier. And I just was like, I'll keep watching. And then you come out of this pandemic era, right? And things get really weird for WWE. And then, as you were talking about, AEW comes up and there's their competition. And now all of a sudden, people are like, okay, who's going to really grab the ball, right? There's like a fumble, right, on the field, and someone's got to get that ball and move with it. So, but fast forward now, you make your account and you start leading this yeah movement in May of this year, which is not a long period of time. You have well
No.
over 25,000 followers already. So, do me a favor, bridge me the gap. 2016, but LA Knight was really that's when you started really watching full time, or was
Yeah.
it the AEW started up, or were you still just kind of paying attention when AEW was founded?
No, I would watch. No, I mean, when AEW was founded and they started with the weekly shows, I think I tried to watch a couple episodes. I didn't really get into it. I was still it was a very casual thing for me. I had the WWE network and then I had, the Peacock thing because it was so
Yeah.
cheap and I like to, you know,
Peacock.
watch all the old time stuff again. And it was, that was kind of cool to have for archives and whatnot. Um,
Yeah.
but no, man, look, it was around the Royal Rumble this year,
Yeah. Okay.
2023, where I first caught eye of this LA Knight guy.
Yeah.
And I swear, the first time I saw him, and I'm like, wow, this guy's awesome. Like,
It's interesting.
wow, I mean, why is this guy not getting a better push? I started
Mhm.
doing a little investigating on him, and I, watched some of his old promos, and I'm like,
Yeah.
there's something about this guy. He just has that
The
it
it
factor.
factor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
It
there's this
factor.
certain he has this rare quality where you don't even really know why you like him so much. You just
Yeah.
love the guy.
Yeah.
And it's infectious, as we've
Hmm.
obviously seen.
Yeah. You can't help it.
And I mean, IWC, we talk about them. I mean, I remember there are a lot of the big accounts were all over this guy. They wanted him to get a push.
Yep.
I was with them
Yep.
100%. And I really just wanted to see
Absolutely.
the guy on TV more. Like, the guy
Yeah.
was underutilized. He had that feud with Bray Wyatt, and then he did nothing with it. Literally did
Yeah.
nothing with him after that. And as a matter of fact, you can even argue that he was basically used as sort of glorified enhancement talent.
Enhancement talent. That's what I said. Yeah.
I
Yeah, he had some
Yeah,
matches
but
with.
they've had plans for him like for a while. The problem I think that they ran into was the
I don't know
fact
if I
that
believe
they
that.
were just trying to find the right person, the right spot, just to insert him before that big push actually happened.
So here's my thing, though. I think all along they wanted him to be a heel, and they wanted him to be a mid card heel. They
Yeah.
never envisioned. They never envisioned him
Yeah.
as this sort of top baby face in the company. So I think that,
Yeah.
and we saw that
Good point.
even a few weeks after I started the account there.
Yeah.
He had that program with Rick Boogs, the the
Oh man,
infamous the infamous
Totally
time there where
forgettable.
they piped in the booze. Remember they
Totally
piped in the booze,
forgettable. Yeah.
and
yeah,
we go
yeah.
back to WrestleMania, for example. Why was he taken off? He was supposed to be at WrestleMania. He had some kind of something going on at WrestleMania.
Like a segment, right? Like a
Something was supposed to happen.
interruption or a talk show sort of segment. That's what we
Yeah,
heard, right? Yeah.
that's what was reported. It was something was supposed to happen with
Like
LA
possibly
Knight.
using him and Bobby Lashley together, or just kind of
Right.
finding a way to get that
So
check that crowd's response.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he kept going out there week after week, whether it's on TV, whether it's house shows, saying he was going to be there. And you
Yeah.
don't do that unless you're planning on having him be there. It'd be
Right.
stupid, like as it
Right.
was. Then you go after there week after week after week, say you're going to be at WrestleMania, then you don't show up.
Yeah.
My theory on
Yeah,
that was, they saw the incredible pop he got at that SmackDown in Los Angeles, how over he was, and they said to themselves, "Do we really want this guy to go out there because we want him to be a heel? We really want this guy to go out there and get a huge pop
Yeah.
at WrestleMania." So I almost feel like that's kind of maybe why they scrapped that, because they didn't want that reaction. I'm just trying to think why would they take him off the show? It just doesn't make any sense.
I think.
I mean multiple
Yeah. Go
things,
ahead. Go
really.
ahead. Finish your thought.
I
Finish your
mean,
thought, because I have a theory too.
there's just multiple things that could have gone wrong or changed in their mind. Let's face it, the wrestling business itself is constantly changing. Plans do change
Yeah.
daily. And with LA Knight, yeah, I can agree that yes, he was probably envisioned as a heel mid card talent. Um, but obviously, you saw the response that he got. It just kept growing and growing and growing. But I mean, if you compare when he first came to the main roster to now, it's astounding. Like you just don't see that anymore. But because like we were talking about, he has that it factor. He's just on point where he needs to be all the time. Everybody is just with him. Everybody's chanting, yeah, you see the signs, you see the
Yeah.
shirts now everywhere. It's insane.
Yeah.
So
Tim plays a part in
WWE,
getting
in
those signs
their
out there.
respect, can't ignore it. They just can't.
Yeah.
It would just be a
Right.
disservice to their fan base.
So
So
this is something we talk about too, where we kind of say like we get backstage info, but technically speaking, you don't know if it's credible because I don't text Triple H, and I imagine neither of you do. If you do, I'm kind of jealous. But
No comment.
so like if you look at LA Knight, and I made a post about this probably a week ago or so, and he talked about how what really caught his attention in terms of what's going on with him and the WWE universe was that segment with Drew and Sheamus that he interrupted, and as a heel meant to just catch heat for this moment, he gets a babyface pop. And it's I don't know. Like if I had to pick one side without knowing the facts, which we never will, I see what you're saying, Tim. I really do think they kind of were like, I don't know. And I think the reason why is because traditionally in the WWE, there is a huge difference between every single person as a heel versus a babyface. And LA Knight, one thing I'm very proud that the WWE did with him is they kept him exactly the same. It's very organic. They didn't
Yep.
do the now you're going to smile all the time
Right.
and now you're going to put everyone over. No, he's still going out there and Ric Flairing everyone and saying, I don't care if you're John Cena, Austin Theory, Rey Mysterio. He's like a tweener
Yep.
as far as his character's working, but he's a baby face organically because you can't keep him heel. That boy's going to sell that merch and people are going to
Yes.
want to say, yeah. And I know you had some thoughts on that. So
No, no.
take it away, man.
So here, and I always, people think I'm exaggerating when I say this, but I really mean this. We've never ever seen anything quite like this before.
Agreed.
And what I mean by that is first of all, obviously look at the incredible growth he's had and the popularity he's had over just literally, really, you go back to the Royal Rumble, he got no reaction, zero.
Yeah.
Fast forward 4 or 5 months, guy's getting one of the biggest pops in the industry.
Yeah.
And he does all this as he's getting jobbed out every night.
Yeah.
Every single match he lost. And even when he actually won a match, it was really cheap. Really, he looked really weak in doing it. And
Yeah.
even though he was losing, and even though he was, couldn't win a match, this guy was still getting over more and more and more every week. And he wasn't even getting promo time.
Right.
It's not like he was getting over with his promo. His promos, if he did one, like you said with the where Drew and Sheamus were in the ring, was that 30 seconds? So it's just incredible what we have seen with this incredible growth and popularity for a guy that certainly wasn't being pushed down our throats. Kind of like an Austin Theory, where they're kind of just pushing them on us as much as possible. It's incredible. And that's what makes this so fun and exciting, is because it's organic and the fans really want it. And I'm going to preach patience with people, but it's, let this evolve. I have so many people, put the U.S. title. I want to see him win the U.S. title. Or I want to. No. You're not thinking.
Too much too soon is where you burn out. Yep. Too much too soon is where you get burnout. Right. Absolutely.
Well, that's it. I mean,
we don't want that. We want LA Knight to keep growing.
Yeah.
They say that, but then they don't think about what's next. Right?
Yeah.
What's next out? Okay, he wins the championship. Now, okay, it's like, well, what's next? So, look, I think he's in a great spot. WWE obviously is very high on him.
Yeah.
And
you have to be.
Sky's the limit, man.
Yeah, you have to.
Sky's the limit, exactly.
I think also people don't realize, because we have been exposed to LA Knight, at least the human, Sean as his real first name, right? For a little bit longer than we have LA Knight. LA Knight technically on the main roster has only been on our TV since October 7th of last year. So that's not even a year. We're coming up on that year. Mark your calendars for those who care. But it hasn't even been a year that we've seen LA Knight. And as you mentioned, the Royal Rumble, he was just there, right? He was just one of 30, right? Just filling out a space. No WrestleMania. So
that was the
really,
match.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. But still, in a sense, like filling out a spot. Like it was almost like it was seen as a tune-up for Bray Wyatt when it actually propelled LA Knight, right? And then it kind of like, is this guy flash in the pan? And so he misses this WrestleMania. So we're gonna say that push didn't start. And then the joke of the IWC was all those, LA Knight's gonna get a push after the Royal Rumble. Oh, he's gonna get a push after this. It's the next one, it's the next SmackDown. It's coming. Just wait 17. And then you had all these jokes. By WrestleMania 43, LA Knight will get a push, right? So really his push started, I'd say, within a month or so after WrestleMania. Is that fair?
I think it started probably on the lead up to Money in the Bank. I think when he had that. But again, even that win over Montez Ford was cheap. I mean, he still was looking weak. Look, around the Money in the Bank is when it started in earnest, I would say.
Yeah. And Money in the Bank, that wasn't very long ago, right? So you're talking about someone who's blown up and July was literally 2.5 months ago, right? So in 2.5 months, this guy, everyone says he's getting Austin type pops. I'm sure he's doing
Yeah.
that level in the merch. I've even seen, I think Bully Ray was alluding to a pop on the show bigger than The Rock, and then he says he doesn't spell it out on Twitter,
Similar.
Right.
but I think he was pointing to LA
Yeah.
Knight. I didn't dig more into that, but that's saying a lot. So we've got a guy now who's hot as hell and not flash in the pan hot. Like sometimes you see these people that are just kind of like, flavor of the month for a second here. He's consistently hot. He's consistently getting these huge pops. His character is remaining the same. I think we're in a good place for LA Knight, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think we're in a great place. I've been saying that
We're
for
in a
a while
really
now.
good place.
And what do you
Yeah.
think? So speaking of that, so we're all in agreement. I feel like the IW. I told the Mass J this last week. I said the rarest thing I find in wrestling is when the WWE universe as a whole and the IWC collectively come together and agree on something. Like I feel like Roman Reigns as the tribal chief is one of the few instances, but now LA Knight is like that next step, and I think that's when you truly have that perfect blend is when the angry toxicity of the IWC agrees with the average viewer, right? So
Yeah.
the question here, Tim, is how do we keep this going in your opinion? Like what does LA Knight do or WWE do? What happens to keep this momentum going and keeping them hot?
So one of the most important things as far as booking wise is concerned is they have to keep him chasing something,
Yeah.
right? And they have to keep putting obstacles in his way
Mm-hmm.
to get to that point.
Agreed.
One of the great things, I think back to Austin, for example, you know, uh, obstacles, so many obstacles he faced on his way to win the WWF Championship. And of course, even after he won it, with Vince McMahon as his antagonist and the
Mm-hmm.
corporation as his antagonist, every week, if you look at his program, every week, every pay-per-view, there was a huge challenge put in front of him that he had to overcome, incredible
Yeah.
odds to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this story is really set up well for something like that with LA Knight,
Okay.
because LA Knight is sort of the I hate to say this, I don't want to use, I hate using this term, but it's true. He's kind of the people's champion. This
Yeah.
kind of
Right.
guy that's been held down for 20 years, that's
Yeah.
been through the ringer. He's overcome all these incredible odds. He's never given up. He's finally getting his due, and it'd be perfect. And I don't want to say go back to the authority figure thing, but something like that,
Okay.
where you continue
That's
to
fair.
put big obstacles in his way that he needs to overcome so that we can continue to get behind him more and more and just have this real big buildup to maybe winning a championship day or something like that. So that's what it's going to come down to. They need to continue to put major obstacles in his way, make
Mm-hmm.
it look like he can't overcome them, and then he overcomes them to the
Find a
delight of
way.
the masses. As far
So
as what the people, go ahead.
no, yeah, you're good. So just to follow up to that, I'm going to ask both of you this two-part question. So first one semi-rhetorical, and that's that I believe that in order to truly cement a legacy at that main event level, I don't think I do believe it takes two to tango in that instance. And like people always say, Rock Austin, right? Brett and
Right.
Sean. So you have your top names of all time. Undertaker probably has a few. You got Undertaker Kane, Undertaker Mankind. But let's talk LA Knight. So first part of the question, I'm assuming is a yes, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Does he need that rival like Rock Austin level? And what I'm hoping is Bianca and Rhea. I'm hoping that's Rock Austin type for the women's division. But does LA Knight need that to hit that super high caliber main event? And if so, throw some names. If you got one, great. But if you got like two or three you think could do it, I mean, let's start with you, Tim, and then Jason. I want to hear what you got too.
Look, I think eventually, yeah, he's going to need that. If we look at WWE now, and I think this might be a little bit of a problem going forward, is who are their big heels that you have to overcome? Who are the really really over respected heels in the company that he could legitimately feud with right now.
It kind of feels like just Roman a lot of the times, right?
Like I don't. This is the problem is they really
Yeah.
haven't built up really strong heels in this company that are like main event caliber heels. You look at their main eventers right now. You know, Cody. You have Seth Rollins. Obviously, Roman Reigns is a big heel. Um, Bobby Lashley, he's kind of on the heel turn now, maybe a little bit.
Yeah,
But
he is.
I think that might pose a problem.
Yeah.
He's going to need somebody with a lot of respect and as someone to look at as a dominant heel. And it can't just be Roman Reigns is basically a part-time guy now.
Yeah.
Um, they sort of tried to build up Austin Theory as that guy a little bit, which
It's
has
not
not worked
working.
out at all.
It's not working. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay.
That's going to be a
I
problem.
agree. I agree. I'd have a hard time if you asked me that question. So I'm glad I'm the one asking.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I agree. I think it's hard. Now, what about you? The
you
Mass J.
forgot the biggest heel right now. Well, that's about to be, I should say. Look, the answer to your question though is yes and no.
Okay.
No, he doesn't need the antagonist because he's already getting over without it. Okay,
Okay.
and he's only going to keep on going. The fans are going to keep loving him as long as he stays to being himself. Uh, but in that respect, yes, this is like Austin and Rock, uh, or Austin and McMahon,
Right.
Austin and Authority. We need something, right? Well, we would like to see something because that's just what we grew up to actually be adjusted to.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to see that you forgot Drew McIntyre as the top heel.
I can't keep saying his name. It gets old.
Yeah, you can't actually keep saying his name, and you want
I
to.
do.
That's
I am.
okay.
Quick caveat: I'm very happy with what I'm seeing with Drew, and I do think that he has that potential to get back to where he was as this monster heel that you have to overcome. And I was going to say that to Tim, but we have to wait and see because we don't even know if the guy's even re-signed, which we hear kind of the same thing with LA Knight, but we know that LA Knight's going to get what LA Knight wants, or they're going to find a way, right? But so yeah, I do think Drew is probably. I was going to say, I wonder if Drew and him, who don't seem like common bedfellows, I wonder if they might end up with that chemistry and both shooting up there with that. If there's nothing else on that, I do want to get into some dirt, right? We talked about this a little bit before we hit the red button. My take on LA Knight is that he's unique. And I understand that some of the other, for lack of a better word, has been wrestlers might have a problem with his growth over the past 2.5, 3 months. Okay. And so, you hear these comparisons to The Rock, to Stone Cold, but like, I feel like I hear a lot of Ric Flair, but only if I want to. But like even LA Knight himself has said, of course, as a wrestler, you had idols growing up, you idolize different people, and you're going to take elements from them just organically, naturally, however you want to say it. But yeah, Tim, let's talk about some of this dirt. Like people are talking crap. I know Kevin Nash and him just seem to or Kevin Nash, it seems like it's like one way. Kevin Nash is just taking stabs and he responds on TV to make money out of it. But yeah, give me your thoughts. Let's talk about some of the dirt and he's just a copy of
Oh,
X,
this
Y.
is
Who
gonna
gives
get
a crap?
good.
Yeah, whatever. Go on.
Well,
You said
so
there were no handcuffs, so let's go.
let me go back to what you said about his inspirations. When you
Mm-hmm.
watch his promos, okay? When you watch his promos, and one of the guys that he has even said is an inspiration to him. When you watch his promos, think about this guy, Jake the Snake Roberts.
Okay.
Oh
And
yeah,
you'll notice in some of his promos, yeah, he's over the
Let's
top,
see it.
but then he comes down and he has that Jake Roberts, kind of just creepy, like, yeah, that's another one that I think a lot of people don't talk about, but I love that. I
I've
love the
not
Jake
heard that one
Roberts in him.
yet.
It's awesome. Yeah. Look,
I
you
can
know what?
absolutely see it though.
I don't give a shit what if anyone wants to go ahead and take him down for reminding them of some of the most famous and the greatest wrestlers of all time. I laugh. I think it's hilarious when these people come out and they put him down for reminding them of Stone
Exactly.
Cold Steve Austin, of The Rock, of Ric Flair, of who? Are you serious? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You're going to tell me that you go back to the Hogans and the Flairs and even the Nash and all. You tell me those guys didn't take inspiration from wrestlers from the previous generation of theirs?
Exactly. It's all the same thing in the end.
Right?
Everybody
Yeah.
takes inspiration from their idols. Like you said, they take inspiration from other wrestlers, from other companies. Everything is recycled. We know this already. Like,
Right.
what's the big deal? Of course,
Yeah.
he does seem more like Stone Cold Steve Austin, but it's the way he moves, it's the way he acts. But that's not Austin still.
I think the
That's
vest is
LA
throwing people
freaking
off.
Knight. He
Yeah,
takes
I
it
think.
and he takes it to a new level.
Yeah.
Right. And he's been doing this for what, 20 years now, right? And
Yeah.
he takes a little bit of this, a little bit of that. He likes this, and he makes it his own, right?
Yeah.
There are no catchphrases he's taken from anybody. What he says, or it's ridiculous. It's LA Knight. It's his stuff.
Yeah.
So no, I couldn't care. I couldn't care less for those people. I don't care, because guess who's making the money? Who's number one? Who's the hottest seller of merchandise in WWE?
Whose game
Who's the
is
hottest
it?
wrestler in the world right now? It's LA Knight.
That's
So
right.
you know what? Go cry.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash. Good for you, man. Make some money. Hope you get a lot of clicks. I love Kevin Nash, but cry harder. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, and to that point, like it doesn't. Every wrestler, whether you're on the Indies or WWE, you've got to find what clicks, and we see this a lot. We see a lot of people that just really, I mean, Stone Cold and LA Knight, The Rock. You want to talk about things that did not click and just weren't working, and then they found it. Like Stone Cold was the friggin' ringmaster. Who cares?
Oh boy.
Who cares? Or stunning Steve Austin with long blonde hair.
Horrible.
Didn't work, did it?
It was awful.
And then when he turned into Stone, he went from long blonde pretty boy hair to shaved head, redneck badass. Like polar opposites of one another. You got to find what works. And kind of just like talking about Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre has this goofy personality, a lot like me, I'd say. And maybe that's why I like him. But it doesn't fully click with the audience the way that his appearance coming out in his personality, because he's like 6'8" with his boots on and he's got to be 280. Sure. He doesn't look like a goofy guy, and that's probably why it's just not quite clicking. And so LA Knight was Max Dupree. That's not who he is, so it didn't work, right? So, and I know you recently shared a clip of him kind of allude, like that first kind of one of the first mentions of LA. They were a rock throw away from LA or something like that. Yeah. I think you shared that today.
Yes.
That wasn't going to work. He did a great job. I was watching it. I was interested, but that was never going to be WrestleMania stuff, right?
I can I say something real quick about that?
Yeah, it's your show, man.
So as I was kind of looking back and I was trying to figure out, like, man, why would they do that to him? And then why would they bring this guy up and have him like job out and like all? And then I look back and I watched how he was booked in Impact, and I watched how he was booked in the NWA, and he was booked so poorly. And it's almost like, okay, then you bring him over to NXT, but it's like this guy has a reputation of years and years of sort of being like this mid-card. I don't even know what you call it. It was just bad. Even though he won the championship at Impact, it was just, they just booked him like shit, like really bad.
Yeah.
Right. So you're the WWE, you're bringing him over. Like, I kind of get why they weren't that high on him, because of the fact that all those years of like being a mid-carder in kind of like a third or secondary or third promotion.
Yeah.
You bring him over and all of a sudden he's the top guy in your company. So I kind of understand. And the whole Max Dupree thing was horrible. It was stupid. They wanted to, okay, well, you've been LA Knight for so long. Why don't you try something new? We'll try something different. You have charisma or whatever. We'll try. Okay. But look, it all worked out in the end, I suppose. But look, it's just amazing to see how poorly he was used for so many years.
Yeah.
Just happy the guy's finally getting a chance to be himself. And that's what works.
Yeah.
Let people be themselves. Austin, even The Rock. You know, he
Yep.
came in, he was this smiling baby face, and and he made people throw up. Eventually, they let him be himself, and he became a superstar. So we need
John
more of
Cena.
that. Let
Yeah.
guys be themselves, right? And just turn up the notch a little bit.
I
They talk a
agree.
lot
I
about
mean,
that too with ruthless aggression too. And I'm sorry, we'll get that real quick, but just to throw that out there, like John Cena, even to this day in his promos talks about how he was in a place where he was going to be fired, and they're on a bus, and he just starts rapping with some of the guys in the back of the bus, and Stephanie McMahon, and when they get off the bus, pulls him aside and is like, let's talk about this. So John Cena, The Rock, and Stone Cold were all in positions where they might not have had jobs had another 6 months gone by and things weren't going in any other direction. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jason. Let's get that thought finished, but
no, you're good.
sort of thought there.
I honestly, I forgot. I'm not gonna lie. I got
Sorry,
distracted.
that's my bad.
I was like,
That's
ooh,
my bad.
something shiny. Not,
ADD,
no,
bro, it
it was
takes
probably
over.
something great. I mean, you
Yeah,
think LA Knight, I mean, being himself, yeah, that's obviously the best course of action. For him, it doesn't work for everybody though, because some people are just not very good
yeah.
at being themselves. And I do like characters. I mean, do you imagine if The Undertaker was just Mark
Right.
Calloway? Like, it just wouldn't have worked. Or Triple H
It
being
didn't
Paul
work.
Levesque.
Yeah. It didn't work in WCW. They couldn't
Exactly.
find something that worked. He was told he was never he got fired, I think, right? The Undertaker, and he was basically told there's nothing that's going to ever work for him, and then here he becomes probably the most iconic figure in wrestling history. So yeah, there's a lot to be said about that, and all those reasons are things that people more in the business and more in the know, like Kevin Nash, he knows that better than me, and he knows that, and so therefore I 100% side with you, Tim. I think it's clicks and likes for attention and for money. This
Oh
is
yeah.
how he makes money now. You click it, you don't have to agree with him. If you watched it, he got paid. So I think at the end of the day, that's really what it's coming
And
down to.
I don't
It's
want to get
all
off
cheap
subject
heat.
too much. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's all just cheap heat by Kevin Nash. I mean, he knows how to work the crowd. He knows how to work the fans. In this
Mm-hmm.
case, it's just now on X. I mean, he knows how to do it.
Yep. He's a brilliant guy. He understands business. And, you know, kind of the way the media is in general now
Yeah.
is that,
Mm,
we like to, like, for example, we have two polar opposites, right? We have Dave Meltzer and we have Jim Cornette.
oh
Jim
God.
Cornette's audience
We're
is
going
one
in,
thing,
boys.
right?
Yeah.
And Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, his audience,
Yeah.
guess what it is, right? They're two polar opposite things. So
Yeah.
guess what they do? If you don't think Dave Meltzer, Brian Alvarez are being biased, you're not opening your eyes, and there's a reason for that. It's because their subscriber base, the people that pay their salaries, love AEW
Yeah.
and they hate
Yeah.
WWE, right? I mean, for the most part. So
Yeah.
guess what they're doing? They're they're
Catering
they're
to their
they're
audience.
coddling to their audience, and Jim Cornette understands what his audience is. And
Yep.
I look, I think Jim Cornette, I think is a very honest guy. I think he tells it like it
Yeah.
is. But of course, he coddles his audience too.
Yeah.
It's just how it is now.
Yeah.
Even when we go to news, Fox News, MSNBC,
Yeah.
CNN, they coddle to their audience with their
Yeah.
news. So everything's sort of directed at
Yeah.
their core audiences and what
For
makes them
money.
money and what pays their bills.
Yeah.
That's it.
They're not trying to tell you the truth or educate you. They're just trying to make money, like whatever it is. So,
That's how it is.
Right. Yeah.
and that's
Everything's
why,
about
yeah. And we talked about this a little earlier. Like, none of us actually know the numbers behind the scenes. We know some stuff like, as it gets leaked, but we don't have all the breakdowns in its entirety. I don't have access to their warehouse, so I can't just do a select all statement and pull some sequel stuff and be like, oh, okay, I can look at. No, we're getting what we're getting. It's not complete. It's not enough to make a decision. We say what we say. We say what we feel. But that doesn't always reflect the grander scheme of things. And so, like the IWC in general, um, it's a small pocket, right? Our
Yeah.
what we're a blip
very
on
minute.
we're a blip on that 2.6 million viewers
Yeah,
that are watching it live. And then how many are watching it on Hulu and then maybe Peacock later on down the line? We're a blip on that
100%.
10 to 20,000 person arena that they're in. There's like 10,000 to 20,000 of us probably in totality at this point. maybe 50,000. And so that whole saying of like the empty can rattles the most, it kind of does ring true, where the people will say like, oh, fans are calling for this, but what they're not telling you is 1% of the fans are calling for this. It's not all of them, but it's hype, right? And to your point, Tim, you're saying like media has to hype things for clicks, views, and likes to make their money. It's the same thing. They take what one person said and then someone reposted or retweeted, and then it becomes an article on one site, and then everyone copies it, throws it in the chat GPT, says, reword this for my blog. And now it's on 20 different copycat sites. And then it's a thing. It's a thing. Like, oh, but it's not a thing. It's like we're the minority here. So yeah.
Well, let's why do you think AEW's ratings are collapsing? Why are AEW's attendance numbers collapsing? Well, maybe not collapsing.
Beautiful segue.
I mean, we kind of touched base on last week. A lot of it is stories. Where's their stories? Like, there are none. Nothing major, at least. Exactly. I mean, they do have some cool stuff going on, and their talent. They have such great talent. They really do. And then it's like, oh, what do you do with this talent? Well, you don't do anything, apparently, if you're Tony Khan. I mean, you just got Jade Cargill, who is probably their best homegrown talent, I should say, that could have taken their AEW women's division to a whole new level if she just continued to hone her craft.
The Twitter fans, the Twitter wrestling fans don't think she's very good, so get rid of her.
I'm a part of that, honestly. I don't think she's that good. But she does have the look. And she just needs more time. Yeah. She needs to find her character better. Until then, she's going to continue to look green. But that look that she has that look. She could be a big player for WWE.
Yep.
She could have been a big player for AEW if they just put her in the right position and let her get better. That is, if they haven't already tried and they saw that she wasn't improving, and then they probably just were like, yeah, we're not going to re-sign you, especially for the money that she was basically asking for. Yeah, I mean, if she's asking for big money and she's not producing those results, like she said something about somebody said something that she brings viewers, but that's not true at all. When has she ever popped a rating, spiked a rating when she was on TV?
Yeah, and that's the thing is you always got to find what works, and this is a good segue too. So I'm glad you said that, Tim. Yeah. So before we tear apart AEW, because I got some things I do want to talk about, and I know. But listen, here's the thing: we talked about this last week, and we say this all the time. I want them to succeed more than anyone, because I don't want to see a single person lose their job, not one person. And if a wrestler isn't cutting it in WWE or just isn't happy there, they want a lighter schedule, million other reasons. They have another place to go, but the company has to do right by their employees. And attract that fan base that's going to bring them in that money, and that's going to be their ticket sales and their viewership. So let me start by asking you this, Tim. Do you watch AEW regularly? If so, what are you? So you're following the product. You're not watching it.
No,
you got eyes on it.
God, no. I've tried. I really, I swear to you, I've tried to watch that product.
I believe you.
I just
have amazing talent.
I don't care. Why am I watching? Why am I watching this? Do I like watching a great match? Sure. Yeah. I love 5-star matches every once in a while.
But you're an adult. Time is limited.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, look, it's interesting. Okay. Yay. But that's like you were mentioning. The storytelling isn't there.
Yeah.
Why do I care about X wrestler beating Y wrestler? Why?
Right.
So no, I just look. I've tried, and I just can't get into it, and that's a big problem because I am the casual fan. At least I was, and now obviously I'm much more into WWE.
It's still casual. I think is considered casual. Yeah. I would consider myself somewhat casual.
Sure, and look, I mean. We're seeing it in the numbers. The numbers show what's happening. This is not, just us bitching and moaning. This is real numbers, data we're seeing.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of years, we've seen AEW's numbers decline year after year. Attendance numbers, ratings numbers. The rating numbers for Rampage and even for Collision now, they're going down big time.
Yeah, yeah.
And look, they're coddling to that hardcore,
Yeah.
wrestling niche audience.
Yeah.
And you can't get away with that forever.
Yeah.
You look at WWE. WWE understands that the vast majority of wrestling fans, people that are either casual fans, hardcore fans, people that don't watch wrestling who might consider watching wrestling, they're going to watch because of the storytelling aspect of it. That's
Yeah.
why they want to watch. They want to watch something and have it be like a movie or a television show or a drama or whatever. When you don't,
Yeah.
when you just focus on your hardcore niche audience, you're going to get hardcore, your niche sort of, attendance numbers and your niche, ratings numbers. They have, they have got to start embracing a wider, more diverse audience. Or
Yeah.
I know Tony Khan has billions of dollars, so this could go on forever. But man, like,
you don't want to cash burn though. There's no reason to cash burn. Yeah.
And the reality is there's a ceiling. Okay, AEW has hit that ceiling. Okay, at this point forward, it's going to be up to TK. It's going to be up to Khan if he wants to break that ceiling or just stay there and be stagnant. Because they got really great talent, but we see it in the ratings, like you were talking about. Ticket sales. I mean, I bought AEW Wrestle Dream tickets. I'm going to Seattle for that. It's a nice little 2.5 hour drive. I don't care. It's not that big of a deal. It's floor seats. I'm excited. And then I'm starting to look at the tickets. I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be a sellout. This is going to blow up.
Right.
Because they've only come to Seattle one other time. Well, guess what? They're not. It's just somehow in a span of like 2 days, more floor seats popped up again. And I'm like, well, where is everybody? It's because they're catering to only a certain niche, like you said. And until they get past that, they're never going to grow. They're going to keep being this, sub-level, this secondary promotion that's going to get me canceled right now. Son of a mother. I'm going to get canceled by the AEW stands. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to be mad at one thing you say or another, and at the end of the day, well, it is what it is. We're speaking of facts here, like, and this is what we said is nobody's here saying I hope they go out of business. I hope the opposite. I've said before, I hope they start selling 20,000 tickets to a 10,000 person ticket arena. I'd love that, right? Yeah. But like the facts and the data are here. They don't matter. I mean, they matter more than anything, and that's like. September 23rd, they got a Collision coming up. Collision is not a B show, technically. Collision is supposed to be on par with Dynamite, just a separate show. In August of 2022, they were at the same arena. It looks like it's in Grand Rapids, Michigan. They put 5,955 people at that time. Currently, they're set up for 3,379. So they're already a huge dunk below that in terms of what they're set up for. And they've only distributed 2,166 tickets, which is less than half of what they filled the last time that they saw there. And we're 6 days away. So when you compare that to WWE SmackDown, which happened, the SmackDown coming up, they're set up for 11,384. There's only 414 tickets left. And
look up SmackDown for Friday was a complete sellout.
Yeah, and they're essentially selling everything out. And the tickets that are left, people probably don't want. And then you compare that to another Collision that actually happened yesterday. It looks like there was 1,120 tickets that were just left out there. So you're right, Tim. And I'm glad to hear that you don't just bash the product. You actually follow it and follow the stats and go with that. Because that's the concern that we all have is when your numbers are going down, we're talking about at some point, people are going to lose their jobs. And we don't want that, right? So that's what this is all about. So with that said, and you can continue to talk more about that, but is there anything you see right now or saw in the past from AEW that kind of caught your attention and like, I'll check this out and see where it goes? Or has it always been high level, seeing what's up, checking the stats and then going, it's just not for me?
I mean, I've seen some good things with MJF. I think he is the total package.
Yeah.
he's the kind of guy that with his character, although I'm not sure if I'm really great on what they're doing with him right now. Is kind of, this whole best friends thing with Adam Cole, and they're almost kind of like turning him babyface a little bit. Like I like the old MJF. He was just an asshole to everybody and hated everybody.
Yeah, but this is their only story.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah,
I mean, for the most part, this is their biggest story, at least.
Yeah,
it is. No, it is. It is. And so, but no, I think he's amazing, and I think I'll be honest with you, man. Like, I'd love to see him in the WWE. See what
that was my
he
next
could
question.
do with that. He could do with that machine behind him. It'd be something to behold. But yeah, no, look, I'm totally unimpressed with everything else for the most part. There's just nothing there for me.
Do you have, going back to WWE real quick, do you have other superstars right now that I'll take it two ways. So the first way I'll say is you really see the potential and you could use Austin Theory. I know you spoke about him earlier, but you just feel like there's just something we need to do. And then the second part to that is, are there wrestlers, superstars in the WWE right now that you're just keeping an eye on and you're like, some really good stuff could be happening for them? Because there are a lot of times. Movement? Yeah, like, do you see another movement coming here? Because they captivated you pretty quickly. Like, you're a Laps fan like myself, but then LA Knight got hot and then you jumped on like right at that right time. Like, you actually kind of got in with this movement, like probably either almost same day or even a little before it actually started to kick off, early May, I think, right? So just to reiterate, so any wrestlers that you like, but you really wish there was something else happening with them, or are there any superstars right now in WWE that you're like also kind of keeping that similar eye on? Like, moving here.
The guy that kind of stood out to me for a while now, actually, is Chad Gable.
Yeah,
I really like Chad Gable a lot. He obviously is a fantastic in-ring performer, but he also has that charisma. He's got that personality. Yeah. I know they kind of sour on guys that are smaller, and the whole they had him be Shorty Gable not too long, whatever. Yeah. Like, I like him a lot. I like Chad Gable a lot. I hope they do more with him. I hope he gets a legit. He's obviously been in this great program with Gunther, and I hope that leads to something bigger for him, because I think he's great, and I think he would draw some money to the company. I'll tell you who I really like. I'm surprised I didn't know them until they showed up on the main roster, but what I've seen, I've really liked. It's Pretty Deadly. I love their character. Yeah. I love it, and they're kind of like that in the ring. They're almost kind of like that old-fashioned heel tag team. Mm-hmm. They come up with like these creative ways to kind of do shit behind the referee's back and win matches. Yep. Their gimmick is really interesting and really fun. So I think I like them a lot. To your point too about Drew McIntyre, I really hope they turn him heel. I really hope they turn him into a big heel, because they need another main event heel. And I'll be honest with you, I think Drew McIntyre's, I just think he's boring. I'm sorry. Like, I think he's boring as a babyface. He is. No, I'm sorry. As a babyface.
No, you're not saying anything other people aren't seeing. And that's why people get upset, such as myself, because I like him regardless. And it's like, but at the end of the day,
no, that's fine. And that's
I liked him as a heel, though. And actually, when I started to watch again, he was a big monster heel. So when you make this huge change with one person, it's not the same. And I used to hear the word magic. People are like, I feel like the magic's gone with him. And so I agree. I mean, there is a magic that's missing. There's something missing with his character. I'd watch him all day, every day, no matter what. But I'm not the business. I'm one person, and I get it. Right. I totally get it. So yeah,
it's that damn Claymore sword. I'm sorry. That
Randy Orton feud was basically like just feeding him toxins. Yeah.
Every time he brings that sword out, I'm like, dude, just put it away. Like,
get rid of it.
Horrible.
I absolutely love Drew because he's so great.
Yep.
I think Drew is a great talent.
It would have been fine for that one match with Randy Orton. Yeah. It would have been fine with that one match, and then put the damn thing away, or maybe bring it out every now and then. But we don't need it every time,
Every week. same damn thing, slammed
Yeah.
her
Yeah,
into the. Oh no, come on,
it's just
stop. It's
it's silly.
okay.
It's
Yeah.
silly.
Yeah,
It's just I mean I don't know. I get
that
it.
was just a bad call on WWE's
It's
part.
I think Drew's a good testament to what works and what doesn't work. You can take the same guy like LA Knight. If you just turn him right back into Max Dupree, it's same thing. This thing's gonna fizzle. He's not gonna main event WrestleMania or even have a shot at it. Whereas I do think he has a legit shot right now. You always got to find the wrestler and find what works with them, and then kind of go from there. And you talked about Pretty Deadly. I think Pretty Deadly is one of those unicorn sets because they kind of showed up
Careful
on the
now.
scene fine tuned in who they are as their characters. And when it's like that, it works. And they got fast tracked. Pretty Deadly went from NXT UK very quickly to NXT, and they were not on NXT for very long. And they hit the main roster. And it's just like, because what they're doing, they're dialed in. Those characters work for who they are. And that's what it's
Yeah.
all about, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
So,
definitely.
And they need help too. I mean, look at I've heard that they want to split the tag team champ, which they should. They should have a tag team champion on both brands. So they need tag teams. Legitimate, tag teams, not just two guys put together. So
Right.
no, I think I'm excited to see what's going to happen with them in the future, and I'm excited about this Bobby Lashley and Street Profits little a stable they have. I'm curious to see who
yeah.
that's going to lead. So look, there's a lot of things to like right now.
Yeah. And I think the
Oh,
important
agree.
thing they're doing right now is they're taking their time. Things are breathing. Like even the Drew McIntyre, the Bobby Lashley things. These are not. Hey, look, we saw Bobby Lashley and Street Profits. Oh, then they attacked everyone, and there's the story, and it's here we are. Let's see if we like it. No, they're slowly doing this, and Drew's giving people looks one week, he's laughing another week, and then he's fighting everyone who he thinks wronged him, you know.
Right.
So,
It's great.
but things are breathing. It's
Oh, long
taking
term
weeks and
booking, man.
months. Long-term bucking, right?
Yeah, and,
That's
and I
right.
and I people look at, for example, the seeds that have been planted the last couple of weeks with LA Knight and
Yeah.
the bloodline. You had the thing with Heyman a couple weeks ago. You had last night or Friday night
Amanda
with
Solo.
and I'm seeing all, oh well, I guess LA Knight's gonna fight Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble, and like, no, are you out of your fucking
Oh,
mind? No.
Yeah.
I
let
mean,
it cook.
this
Let it
stuff,
breathe.
let it exactly. I know it seems like a long time to like WrestleMania 5 months and WrestleMania 41 in 17 months. Not that long. Goes by
Yeah,
quick.
it's not. It's
It really
not.
does.
Goes by
I
quick.
do. I want to ask, and maybe we finish it up here, in respect of your time, Tim. But and this is also probably going to be a long topic, so
No,
I think we could chat a little bit here since we're talking about WrestleMania. It's coming up. It's not that far away. You've got all this stuff cooking. You've got LA Knight. A lot of people, like 5 people, right? The internet, the IWC. So when I say a lot of people, take that with a grain of salt. But you've got people
Usually do.
saying
yeah.
things. You got people saying things like, "Well, LA Knight should be the one to dethrone Roman." Then you got people saying, "Well, Cody needs to finish the story. It's got to be at 40, right?" But now you have The Rock, who claims that 39 was locked in, which I don't know how much I believe that. I certainly don't believe the whole it's about the story, because the story was already there. So I don't really believe that. I don't want to call him a liar, but at the same time, I just don't know if all that is 100% true. And so now you have this scenario where WrestleMania, the biggest spectacle of the year, it's kind of the dream scenario for everyone to win the title, not just to be on WrestleMania, not just to main event WrestleMania, but to win a belt at WrestleMania. You have kind of this 10-year point, right? You have these feel good stories at the last every decade, right? You almost have that championship big moments happening at like a 20 or a 30 or now here we're coming on 40. So Tim, and then we'll go to you, Jason. What do you think? We kind of have 3 names out there that could be the ones to face Roman. And then so do you have an opinion on who you'd like to see? And then do you want Roman to continue holding those belts for the next 5,000 days?
It's hard for me to see Cody not winning and defeating Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40.
I agree.
I think that's been their plan all along. Obviously, things can change as mech change and whatnot, but I would like to see it. I think a lot of people would like to see it. I think that's what's going to happen. But then again, okay, well, maybe it's too obvious. Well, I'll look. It's not going to be LA Knight. I love LA Knight, obviously.
Yeah.
It's not going to be him at WrestleMania 40. It's just not. It's not. He needs more time.
Yeah.
They need to. I said this right after the SummerSlam. I said, look, it's going to be a very, very long time before LA Knight is pinned clean in the middle of the ring again or submitted already because
Yeah.
they need to build up his in-ring credibility.
Yes, agreed.
You have to believe that if he were to wrestle Roman Reigns, that he could beat him legitimately clean in the middle of the ring. And I mean, do you really believe that? Is that believable at this point? I don't think it is. Roman Reigns has never done it for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So look, I think that Cody's the one. I don't think The Rock's going to happen. The Rock is here for one reason. It's because of the actors' strike, and he's got time. And John Cena has time because of the actors. That's why they're here right now. You can't read it into anything that's happening with them right now moving forward. Could they have a match at WrestleMania or something? Maybe. It's very possible. But I don't think you can read anything into that. So I still believe that it'll most likely be Cody Rhodes that finishes the story in WrestleMania 40.
Okay. Jason, what do you got?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go with him on this. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be Cody that dethrones Roman. I think that is something that they have had planned out for quite some time. That's some information I do know, and just some that I am just assuming based off of the way the stories are going. But it's going to be how Cody actually gets there at this point.
Possibly that trade to SmackDown.
Surprise. I mean,
you
can't just throw Cody into the main event again unless they just randomly give him the Royal Rumble win again. I mean,
could happen.
It's
he
not
could back to back. He wouldn't be the first
turn.
one.
Yeah, but fans are going to turn. Fans will turn on him. But I also don't want to see Roman lose yet. I don't. I think they keep finding ways to revitalize the story, especially with the bloodline. And I think they have in their mind the number that they magically want to hit. It's going to be how they actually get to that point. But at the end of the day, I think Cody is going to finish the story and be the one to pin him. And then we're going to see later on down the road LA Knight jumping into a more main event role. That's partially why he went against The Miz. The Miz is known to be that stepping stone as well.
Nobody puts you over like The Miz.
Oh,
like, you gotta be at his level on the mic, which is extremely difficult. But if you can match The Miz, nobody will put you over like The Miz will. Nobody.
Oh, absolutely agree. Absolutely
and he is enhancement talent. He's like the one tried and true main event enhancement talent. His win-loss record right now for the past 5 years is probably like 10%. It's probably really bad, but it doesn't matter because he's The Miz. And he can put you over. Like I really appreciated the way he put over Bobby Lashley to win that. I thought that was very well done. I really enjoyed that. And again, Drew McIntyre fan, I really like how they took the belt off of him and got it to Bobby Lashley. I thought that was great stuff. So here we have, so everyone's kind of in agreement that it should be Cody. It's tricky in how we do it, right? Because now you're playing this line. Cody's been back for a while. We saw what happened to Cody in AEW. The pillar, the number, probably legit the only needle mover that they really had, because when he fell off, numbers kind of started to fall off. But fans did turn on him in AEW. So do you guys see that happening with him or LA Knight? And if so, like, how does it get there? And I do have one other thing I want to bring up with LA Knight. Again, Tim, respecting your time, if you got the time for that.
Yeah.
So what do you think about Cody? Do you think the fans turn on him? And if so, how do we avoid that, or how do we get there?
I don't know. Maybe eventually, but I think he's got this sort of character where he's a likable baby face.
Yeah.
He's not someone that like you want to throw up every time he comes out and he gets old and no, I don't not anytime soon.
Okay.
I wouldn't think. I think he'll
Do you think
be.
him winning the Rumble would be bad or good for him back to back?
I don't think it matters. I have a weird feeling as we move forward. If Cody's going to finish the story, then you probably don't want two baby faces as your world champion. So I'm thinking Royal Rumble, possibly two choices for that: a heel Drew McIntyre or Gunther winning the Royal Rumble, moving on to WrestleMania and beating Rollins for the heavyweight championship. 'Cause I don't think you want two baby faces as your world champions.
I agree.
Yeah. So I think Cody gets her somewhat. I don't think he needs the Rumble to get there for that. I think that should go to somebody else.
Okay.
Exactly.
The second part was, do
Absolutely
you
agree with
see something that happens with LA Knight where that fans would turn on him?
It's possible if he doesn't keep his character fresh.
Okay.
You can't. It's tried and true that look, the yeah thing's awesome and all the catchphrases are great. Uh, but he can't just rely on that for a long, a couple of years. He's got to keep his character new and fresh and different, and kind of evolve over time. So
And I
sure, I
think
mean, it
that's
could
why you
happen.
see him like watching the crowd. And that's one thing I really appreciate with him is he comes out and he's hearing those chants and he's not getting ready to speak. He's got this certain look on his face and he's pointing to the crowd and he's listening. He's going like this. He's like,
Yeah,
he's listening to that crowd. And I think we bring up the dummy stuff and people are like saying, "Oh, he brought it back at a house show." And I think you're right. I do think he's got some stuff, some tricks up his sleeve, some other stuff in his back
right.
pocket that he's ready to once
That's
he
the
is
yeah
reading
talks
the
gets
crowd,
done.
just so you know. He
Yeah,
Yeah,
reads the crowd.
yeah,
That's what all
yep,
the greats did. That's
yep,
what they do. It's
yeah.
how they know how they should react to their surroundings, essentially.
yep,
In this
yep.
And
case,
so
with
Jason,
LA Knight doing it on
yeah.
point.
And so Jason, now to you. So the first part, the big part is, do you think you see Cody getting that turn from the fans and do you think you see it with LA Knight, or do you just kind of? I agree with Tim. So I mean, we could call it
No,
dead.
no.
But what about Cody?
Eventually, people are going to turn on Cody. I think if he
Do you
wins
think
the
it's
Rumble,
inevitable
they're
though?
going to. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, that's going to happen to pretty much everyone. I mean, it does happen to everybody. Every star, people start to turn on them, and they
Yeah.
usually end up turning into a heel or something or a face when they get popular again. That's just usually how it goes. Uh, with LA Knight, I mean, yeah, it might happen. I mean, it probably will happen, but it's only going to be if he doesn't continue to do what he does now, which is be
Yeah.
himself and listen to the crowd. If he
Yeah.
plays to the crowd right and he is very self-aware of his surroundings, he's going to do fine and continue to blow up arenas and stadiums with cheers and the yeahs and everything else.
And that's one of the things, like kind of like the same thing with Austin, is that LA Knight got over as a babyface being a heel.
Yep.
So it's different because he is a heel. Like there's nothing
Hmm.
about him that screams babyface. He's a heel
Right.
that's loved.
Right.
So um so that's sort of where, if that changes or anything, or that's why I think I think he'll evolve. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be over big time for a very long time.
So
Agreed.
earlier, Tim, you were talking about the thing that a lot of people don't really want to speak about, and that's time and the way things kind of have to go. And that's just business. That's just how the wrestling business works. And so, speaking of LA Knight, so he doesn't hold any titles. He's held 0 titles in the WWE. A lot of people are like talking about world titles, and it's like I don't know that there's honestly any world champions in the WWE that didn't hold a mid card title first. Typically, that's kind of the proving ground, and then you eventually drop that title, and then you shoot to the main event. What we all anticipate is going to happen with Gunther here very soon. So I'm curious if either of you think that LA Knight should just go to a world title, or if you think that he needs to follow that Stone Cold, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, all the path of all the greats. They hold an intercontinental. Typically, it's the intercontinental, but it could be the U.S. now that we have that title more for that name state. But like, What do you think should be that appropriate booking? How do we get LA Knight to the world title? Does he need that proper mid card title run, or can we just go to the main event? We'll start with you,
I
Tim.
don't
We'll
think
go to
no,
Jason.
no, he doesn't need a mid card title.
Doesn't.
You know, I look at a guy like I know it's a little bit different, but Brock Lesnar came in. He debuted. He won the world title.
Yeah.
First time there was no mid card title. Guy
One of
got
the
over.
very few, right? Very few.
Sure, but there's a history that can happen, right? So that's the obvious stepping stone. Okay, well first
Yeah.
you got to win a mid card title. I just don't think that. I don't see why that would matter.
You think he's past that? I would agree with you if you said you think he's past that point, because typically they got to get over first. Like Chad Gable, he's still not.
The way that I look at titles, especially mid card titles, I look at them as props.
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
Because I think Vince McMahon even said this years ago. It's like nobody gives a shit about the Intercontinental title, and it's a little bit different now because they've done a good job of kind of putting on the IC belt on Gunther for over a year now, longest reign in history. So it's kind of means something more, but
yeah,
it's gotten Gunther over more than the title. You know what I mean? So
because you don't have faith that that's going to last. It's probably not going to last once he drops that belt for very long.
Right, exactly.
That's fair.
Who's the U.S. champion right now? Rey Mysterio, right?
Sorry, I had to think about it.
Exactly. That's exactly. What did that do for Austin Theory? Like nobody cares. I'm sorry, but nobody. It's the mid card title, in my opinion, is there.
I think Theory did a better job with it than
the mid card title is there to get somebody over, not the other way around. So I don't think LA needs it at all.
Yeah,
I think he can go right. I think he can go right at the top.
Jason, what do you got? LA Knight, does he need that mid card title, or can he go straight to the top?
For the most part, sometimes you need to strike while the iron is hot, right?
Yeah.
This might be that time. I can't say for sure, but I think he can skip over a secondary title if they play it right.
Okay.
But would I like to see him capture, the IC title, or maybe be the one to dethrone Gunther? Absolutely would love it. I think that would help continue what Gunther has done for the IC title as well, because they have been working on trying to build that prestige. Mm-hmm. And even though he is over, Gunther is over, and yes, he is going to enjoy a very successful career as world champion too. I think the IC title has benefited from it, and I think it could benefit from an LA Knight reign as well.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think it's always going to come down to how you do things, right? So I get that. And I'm just glad we're getting to see it, because LA Knight kind of really has truly brought in something fresh, where it's not just like you like him or you don't. You really enjoy what happens when he comes out. You want to hear what he has to say, but you want to hear that pop. That pop is something to admire, and it can't last forever. But while we have it, we got to enjoy it. We got to love it. I'm glad, Tim, you took the initiative to get this movement kind of up there. You've been featured on The Bump and probably other places too, I believe. It was The Bump, right?
Yeah,
it was The Bump. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, and again, Tim, we really appreciate you coming on. Again, you were the first name I thought of. I was like, let's get some people on here. Let's have some good conversations. And you're hot right now. I know you have the WWE Shop affiliate link, and that's in your bio, correct?
Yep.
So people can support you there. They can follow you on X and Twitter at movement with an _.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong. How else can people support you besides following you and engaging with you? What else is out there for you? And what else are you into and doing that we can kind of keep up with?
So at the moment, I kind of concentrate on X, Twitter. I do have a YouTube channel. I do have an Instagram account, which I have the same handle. Movement _.
Okay.
But we have some exciting things I think we're going to be doing. As far as merchandise is concerned,
I saw you making some shirts, right? You're doing some shirts.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So there's a lot on the horizon. We'll see where this goes, but we're just gonna have fun with it and support our
That's
guy,
right.
and hopefully we'll support him all the way to the very top of
Love it.
WWE. So
We'll
we're just
keep
gonna have
on
some fun,
following
and
and
I
supporting you.
appreciate you guys for
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys for your support and having me on.
Yeah. I'm going to speak for Jason because sometimes I just do
Nope.
that. I'd love to have you on again. What we'll do here is we'll wrap up here and we'll send you over some dates here in probably the next few days or over the next week or so.
Sure.
We have some other guests that we're going to do, but man, it's been great chatting with you. Love to have you on
Yeah.
again,
Awesome.
and especially seeing where things go. I'm excited to see what happens with LA Knight, but I'm also interested to see what happens with you. I'm a big fan of people who kind of revitalize their own lives and careers, and that's kind of what I'm doing here and what Jason's doing here. Is we're
Yeah.
wrestling fans. We want to turn it into more. We want to support the product. We want to see people grow, including ourselves. So again,
Of course.
for all the people out there watching, we really appreciate you watching this. Go give Tim a follow, keep up with it. Share the video, like it, subscribe. We're going to be on Spotify and YouTube, and we look forward to having you back, man. And thanks again
Yeah,
I
for
tell you, man,
joining us today.
I appreciate that. It's like being a kid again. Because when
Yeah,
I was really deep into wrestling, it was back in high school, and I had a ball and I had a blast, and I loved every second of it. And it just feels it's fun. It's just great to be back a part of this, and
right.
hopefully there'll be many, many more exciting and fun things to come.
Yeah, beautiful.
I
Jason,
definitely think there will be.
you got anything to lead us out here, Jason?
No, thank you, everyone that's viewed so far, everybody that follows me, everybody that follows Fog over there, uh, everyone that has supported the Yeah movement as well.
Yeah,
And of course, thank you, Tim, for being here. It was really fun, and that's the biggest thing. Is I was talking to Fog about this too when we first were thinking of this idea. Is I just want to have fun with wrestling again,
yeah,
and I don't care if people get upset if we criticize AEW too much. We're doing it because we love the product, we love the business, and we
we're
want
doing it with
to see them
WWE
grow.
too, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep,
I'll absolutely call
yep.
out WWE with their faults. And I mean, I've already did it tonight too, and I will continue doing it. But thank you, everybody, for the viewers, to the people that are watching, that did watch, that watched the first episode to this episode. Please make sure you like, subscribe, share. That is how we continue to grow and how you show your support. We also are an affiliate of WWE Shop as well, as Tim knows. Uh, and, we have other ways that you can tip us, which would be wonderful, but it's not expected. We're here for
Yep.
the fun. Please let us keep enjoying ourselves.
Tim, can you wrap us up with a yeah?
Yeah.
There it is. Talk
There it
next time.
is. Thanks.
See you guys.
Later, guys.